Southeast Asia lies Malaysia, a nation celebrated for its vibrant culture, diverse economy, and dynamic growth. Yet, beneath the surface of its economic achievements, a persistent challenge looms: inflation. As of January 2025, Malaysia's annual inflation rate stands at 1.7%, marking a period of relative stability. However, this figure doesn't fully capture the complexities and pressures faced by Malaysians every day. Inflation, the general increase in prices and the corresponding decrease in purchasing power, affects all layers of society. From the cost of basic necessities to housing and transportation, its impact is both widespread and deeply personal. Several factors contribute to Malaysia's inflationary trends. Domestic elements such as government expenditure, unemployment rates, and economic growth play significant roles. Externally, global supply chain disruptions, currency fluctuations, and geopolitical tensions add layers of complexity to the nation's economic landscape.
In this video, we delve into the multifaceted nature of inflation in Malaysia. We'll explore its causes, its effects on the daily lives of citizens, and the measures being undertaken to mitigate its impact through real-life stories and in-depth analysis. We aim to shed light on this pressing economic issue. Join us as we navigate the intricate world of inflation and its profound influence on Malaysia's present and future.
There are several types of inflation, and each type of inflation is caused by different factors. Demand pull inflation happens when demand for goods and services increases faster than the economy's ability to supply them. This causes businesses to struggle with high demand and raise prices. During Malaysia's first movement control order (MCO) in 2020, people rushed to buy essentials like face masks and hand sanitizers, leading to temporary price hikes and product shortages. Cost push inflation occurs when the cost of production rises. For example, wages and raw materials become more expensive. In 2022, the Russia-Ukraine war caused global oil and gas prices to rise, which led to higher transportation costs and made many goods more expensive. Built-in inflation, which is also known as the wage price spiral. It happens when workers demand higher wages due to the rising living costs. But when wages increase, businesses raise their prices again to cover the wage costs, and creates a continuous cycle. In May 2022, the Malaysian government raised the minimum wage from RM1200 to RM1500. To cover these higher wages, many food vendors and restaurants raised their prices. Hyperinflation is an extreme and rare form of inflation, where prices increase uncontrollably. This is often due to excessive money printing. From 2007 to 2009, Zimbabwe experienced this, where the inflation rate reached 89.7 sextillion%. People needed billions or even trillions of Zimbabwean dollars just to buy basic necessities like bread. Stagflation is a situation where high unemployment and slow economic growth occur simultaneously. During the 1970s oil crisis in the United States, there was an oil embargo by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries (OPEC), causing oil prices to rise sharply. Inflation can be caused by various factors. Understanding these different types of inflation helps economists, businesses, and governments make better decisions and manage the economy effectively.
Inflation can be caused by several key factors. Among the main causes is demand pull inflation, which occurs when the demand of goods and services exceeds the available supply. This usually occurs during times of stable economic growth, when demand exceeds supply, causing businesses to struggle to keep up with the increased demand. Another factor is cost push inflation occurs when rising production costs lead businesses to increase prices in order to maintain their profit margins. This can happen due to increases in the cost of raw materials, labor, or other essential inputs. Inflation expectations significantly influence actual inflation. When people anticipate rising prices, workers may demand higher wages, businesses raise prices in advance, and investors move funds into inflation-resistant assets. These actions increase demand and costs, creating a self-fulfilling cycle that drives inflation further. The changes in exchange rates can lead to higher prices for imported goods, which may contribute to overall inflation.
Not only that, the other aspect of the effect of inflation is reduced purchasing power. The value of ringgit Malaysia erodes due to inflation, which means the same amount of money buys fewer goods and services over time. This affects daily expenses and makes it harder for people to afford basic necessities like food and rent. For example, in 2020 you can buy a plate of chicken rice, drink, and a dessert. In 2025, with 10 ringgit you only can afford chicken rice and a drink. You need to pay extra for the dessert. Last but not least, inflation can also reduce the real value of savings. Money today does not guarantee that it may have the same purchasing price in the future. To overcome this, it is advisable to put the savings in accounts with high returns to try and outpace inflation. For instance, you have a savings of RM1000 in early 2024 with an interest rate of 2% per annum. Few years later, the inflation rate has averaged around 1.7%, which make the savings grow slightly about RM1015 to 1020 Malaysian ringgit. The real return after inflation is negative, and to grow savings, invest on savings account with returns that consistently outpace inflation.
Inflation affects all of us. Prices go up, and it gets harder to afford what we need. But there are steps we can take to control it. First, the government can adjust interest rates. Higher interest rates encourage people to save money instead of spending it, which helps balance supply and demand. Second, cutting unnecessary government spending can lower demand in the economy. Taxes can also be raised slightly to reduce the extra money people spend. Third, improving production is key. If businesses can produce goods more efficiently, they can lower costs and keep prices stable. Fourth, temporary price controls on essential items, like food or fuel, can help families manage during tough times. Subsidies can also support businesses to keep costs down. Lastly, international trade and currency policies matter. Stabilizing exchange rates can stop imported goods from becoming too expensive. Reducing trade barriers creates competition, helping to lower prices. These steps require effort and teamwork, but they can bring the economy back to stability and help everyone.
Malaysia experienced pressures from inflation in 2023, as the country's inflation rate rose to 2.5%. The main causes of this were the notable 6.3% increase in food prices, as well as the growing expenses of hotels and restaurants. A consistent increase in the cost of living was indicated by the Consumer Price Index (CPI), which rose to 130.4 points. But things changed in Malaysia in 2024. The rate of inflation decreased to 1.8%. The CPI increased by 132.1 points, although the rate of price increases decreased, particularly in important sectors like utilities, housing, and food. The government's efforts to stabilize prices and lessen the strain on daily life were partially responsible for this improvement. The Central Bank of Malaysia projects that inflation will stay under control in 2025, with a modest increase of 2% to 3.5%. This forecast presents a positive picture of ongoing stability.
Understanding inflation is crucial, especially in a dynamic economy like Malaysia's. As we've explored, inflation impacts everything from the prices of daily necessities to long-term savings and investments. While Malaysia has shown resilience, with its inflation rate stabilizing at 1.7% in 2025, the challenges remain real for many citizens. From demand pull and cost push inflation to the effects of global events, like the Russia-Ukraine war, the causes are multifaceted. Besides, solutions exist, whether through government policies like adjusting interest rates, improving production efficiency, or international trade strategies. The key takeaway: staying informed and proactive is essential. By understanding inflation's causes and effects, we can better navigate its challenges and advocate for measures that ensure economic stability for all. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Malaysia's inflation landscape. Let's continue the conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content. Together, we can build a more economically resilient future.